Kami kept the Dragon team as up to date as he possibly could. Fortunately for them, the two Saiyans were showing their true colors and having a little too much fun along the way. As Kami reported to the two Earth Saiyans what was going down, Jocha was disgusted at what she had heard. Outside of the Saiyan elites, for the first time since she was a little girl, what she thought was routine turned out to be heinous to the point of despair. Tenshinhan's stance towards her had softened a fair bit since they had first met and him questioning her all the time. The Triclops reckoning that Jocha was blasé about what she had done in the past and vaguely trying to justify it, but no, turned out that she wasn't. She was blind from the full horror of what she had witnessed and let happen. She had no clue of the external gravity of her actions. It was at this point that she told her group of warriors to step it up even more. Piccolo was confused as to this level of cautiousness.
We've already trained our bodies to their absolute limit. What more can we do?
Jocha scowled at him. We go until we can no longer move, until our bones are about to shatter from the force that we have put them through, until our muscles cry out for mercy, begging to be torn apart. I will not let these two have their way anymore, even if it brings me into the eyes of Frieza. Tenshinhan then had a thought. Did you train a lot in the Saiyan Elite Force? Goku's sister looked toward him. A little, but not all that much. We kind of relied on our natural power, and Frieza didn't really see that much point in training, but well, I suppose we did enough to make sure we were in fighting condition for God knows what. Maybe it was to keep us in check so we didn't get too powerful or something. Why do you ask?
Well, would this Vegeta and Nappa have anticipated you getting stronger? Do they know that you know that they're after you?
Jocha pondered for a moment. Well, no, I guess.
Her eyes lit up.
Then she looked to Piccolo. Say, Piccolo, you wanted revenge for your father, right?
The Namekian wasn't following. This is about to lead into another insult toward my father. Save it!
A Saiyan took out your father. These guys coming are Saiyans. I won't let you lay a finger on my brother. But if you pull your weight, maybe you can take out your grievances toward him on these oaths, yeah? She looked quite smug at her deduction. Piccolo didn't want to give her the satisfaction, but she had a point. He looked away to avoid showing signs of weakness.
Perhaps, but that wouldn't mean that all is forgiven, Goku.
Goku shrugged. I never thought we would end up being pals anyway. I'll take this. But their timeline to do this wasn't quite as clear as it was in the original of the whole 1 year. You see, Vegeta and Nappa weren't quite as desperate to get to where Jocha was, since really they had no clue of Dragon Balls on Earth, so there wasn't really any major haste. Those wish-granting orbs would naturally get people's minds focused and wanting to head to where they were as soon as possible. But they're not here. But as far as Vegeta and Nappa were concerned, they didn't even know they existed. Not to mention the fact that they didn't have Jocha's precise location to hand. They had the general vicinity, but until they got close, they would be mostly guessing as to her specific placement in the Sol 3 area of space. Space. Sol 3. Oh no. Once again, the plan was going to have to change, because Jocha realized something. Despite her desire to get stronger and prove a point, her Saiyan emotions getting the better of her, she then forgot the bigger picture. Yes, defeating Vegeta and Nappa would have been a very cathartic thing to do, but what about the ramifications after that? Without letting the others know, she dug out her Saiyan pod, which had been gathering dust around the side of Grandpa Gohan's old hut because she never really had to use it, and flew it over to Capsule Corp. Bulma and Dr. Briefs, for a second, upon seeing the pod in mid-air, thought that the Saiyans had arrived way earlier than expected, and they were about ready to alert Goku and Jocha, but out stepped Jocha, and they were both relieved, and also annoyed. "Hey, don't scare us like that," shouted Bulma. "You're the one putting us all on edge." Jocha apologized. I'm sorry. It's just that I love this place so much that I didn't want to see it come to harm. That's why I've come here with this. Supposing we defeat those Saiyans and everything goes back to normal. Well, how long would that last? Dr. Briefs brushed his mustache.
What do you mean? Are there even more Saiyans?
The Saiyan shook her head. Not as far as I know. I guess it's just myself, Vegeta, Nappa, and Goku. all the others are long gone in battle, or Frieza destroying them personally in a fit of rage, which is what I worry about the most. We stopped Vegeta and Nappa, but their disappearance around here would catch Frieza's attention for sure. He'll come here and, well, probably destroy this planet, or take it for his own. Jocha tapped the side of the pod. That's where you come in. You're gonna make a ship that can carry more people like this pod, so we can head them off at the pass before they discover this planet. Bulma and Dr. Briefs were left stunned, not sure what to make of this. Jocha, you do realize this is the first interaction we've had with extraterrestrial technology, right? Said Bulma with a quizzical tone. Yeah, I know, but I'm desperate and...
We'd be delighted to help, blurted out Dr. Briefs.
What? But Daddy, we don't know how this works. How can we possibly make a ship that's magnitudes times bigger and it function just as well?
Now, sweetie, I didn't raise you to be a quitter or a denier of your ability. This is a massive opportunity, you see, to get to know a new type of gadgetry that the world has never seen before. Leave it to us, Jocha. We shall get back to you with something.
Jocha smiled and left the pod with the briefs, feeling miles better than she had done this morning. She kept the surprise from her other teammates. She didn't want to worry them more than she had to. 6 weeks later, whilst the gang were on the lookout, checking in with the others, they could hear a strange sound coming towards them from below. Jocha kinda recognized the whir of a Saiyan pod, but it was louder than it should have been. A few seconds later, the ship emerged from the edge of the lookout horizon and landed on the ground in front of the main chamber. When the ramp descended, Bulma and Dr. Brief stepped down from it and looked around the surprised audience. So this is what the lookout looks like. Kami sighed and lamented human technology completely diminishing and mitigating the difficulty of getting up to this place of solitude heralded for millennia. A place of wisdom, but now you could just fly here. But Jocha knew what it was. I don't believe it.
Believe it, buddy, said Dr. Briefs. Turns out that apart from your propulsion system, the materials to make the pod aren't all that different to ours. Just a variation of alloy. We just had to magnify the blueprints up a little bit, but hey, we're the biggest automaker in the world, so it's not exactly that hard. No challenge here.
The doctor winked. Goku walked over to inspect it, very impressed with the result. So, what's it for? He asked Bulma. She pointed to Jocha. Ask her. Thanks for the lead-in, Bulma. You're welcome, said the engineer with a wry smile. Listen, I figured out that waiting for those goons to come here, that could lead to some major collateral damage. And a lot of death. Not just from them. So instead, I want to take the fight to them, out in space. And I want you lot to come with me and take them down as one. The group looked to each other, not sure what to think. Sure, the rest of the gang, Chaozu, Krillin, Yamcha, and Yajirobe, had all felt stronger for being in the room of spirit and time a little bit, as well as Kami's regular training outside of it, but they weren't all that sure they could take down multiple Saiyans, but maybe with Jocha there, being their backup, they might have a chance. She had gotten stronger since she had arrived, and fortunately for them, she hadn't destroyed them.
Kami nodded. I thank you for not bringing Earth into your quarry.
Thank you, Kami. Please can you tell that King Kai fellow to let us know when they approach this sector of space?
Kami nodded again. I can certainly do that. I'm sure that we'd be most pleased that you are planning to counter it.
Goku was confused. I don't get it though. Why would someone like that take an interest in what we're up to?
Your guess is as good as mine, Goku, said Kami. But whatever it is, I'm sure he will tell you personally in good time. But for now, training must continue until the day comes to take action.
And that day certainly came. On that morning, Jocha and Tenshinhan had been fishing, needing to take some time off from training. The two of them had formed a platonic friendship, the latter feeling much more settled than he would end up in the original. He felt like he had managed to somewhat keep up with the likes of the Saiyans, much more so than he would have done had he kept himself to himself. They often fished together, Jocha and Tenshinhan, both of them finding it a very relaxing way of winding down from a day's worth of hard training. Neither of them could just lay down somewhere and do nothing. They had to do something, even if it was at a more leisurely pace. Fishing was productive and yet also calming. They looked out onto the lake and felt the cool dusk breeze wash over them. So, is this better than being a Saiyan elite? Tenshinhan said softly to her. not wishing to scare the fish away. All that and a bag of space chips, buddy. I never want to put that armor on ever again. She looked down with a somber tone, but I know I'll have to. At least one more time. To show those two once and for all that I will not sit idly by and let them kill anyone else out there. We Saiyans, we're better than that. Tenshinhan was mesmerized by her commitment.
Listen, I never formally apologized for laying into you when we first met. I know you saw it as a sign of boldness instead of an insult, but I still feel I must apologize anyway. It's what we Earthkin do. Jocha nodded.
Fair enough, but it's true, you know. We're the boldest one out of all of them. Thanks to you. I feel we straightened out that Piccolo guy enough to make sure he won't cause any more trouble.
Good. For Goku's sake.
Just then, Jocha got a bite on a rod, and with a simple flick of the wrist, yanked out a huge 200-pound behemoth of a salmon, like it were just a piece of tiny little white bait. Nice! That'll be good for an appetizer. She let out a belly laugh, which got Tenshinhan laughing too. This is good for you, Tenny. You were always so uptight. Goku told me all about you from when you were younger, but now it looks like you mellowed out. I'm glad. It suits ya.
You think so? Well, maybe I've been a little serious over the years, but there was a reason for that, but maybe it can't hurt to, well...
The self-reflection would have to wait, though, as Kami broadcast his voice across them and the rest of the Dragon team. It was time to go. Immediately, the group headed for the lookout, with Bulma and Dr. Briefs piloting the ship, and began to decide who would be actually going out into said space to fight the Saiyans. Yamcha and Yajirobe, along with Chaozu, elected to stay on Earth and act as a last barrier of defense in case the other Saiyans gave their main party the slip. So it was clear that the 5 that would go would be Jocha, Goku, Tenshinhan, Piccolo and Krillin. They would go out into space and intercept the 2 Saiyans. Are you sure you wouldn't like some kind of laser cannons attached, guys? Said Bulma. Maybe one blast of those so you could wipe out the pods without having to fight? Goku and Jocha looked to the engineer. I know that would make sense, Bulma, but, you know, we Saiyans, we should settle this as Saiyans. Bulma rolled her eyes. Yeah, I get it, Saiyan pride, but my plan would still be a lot less messy. With that, the ship and its crew headed off for space to accost Nappa and Vegeta. Just so you know, by the way, the ship doesn't have a gravity chamber since conventional gravity training wasn't really considered. I mean, they technically had some kind of gravity training in the time chamber, but they didn't realize it was gravity training, it was just what the chamber was. Therefore, that is partly why the ship was quicker to make, because there's no gravity chamber. Within hours, the 2 pods were picked up on the scanner. Okay, they're on the radar. What do we do, Jocha? Said Bulma, turning to the Saiyan. They won't recognize where we are yet. We use that to keep our advantage. Make sure to keep them right on the edge of your radar, Bulma. Don't get too close. Then we chase them the hell out of here. Got it, said Bulma, and promptly did what she was told. They followed the 2 pods carefully, and when they started to head into the solar system area, that is when Jocha told Bulma to punch it and give them a scare. Within minutes, the massive ship whooshed by the 2 pods, sending them barreling into debris and almost crashing into some rogue asteroids.
What the? Vegeta! Did you see that? What on earth was that thing? I don't know, Nappa. But soon whatever it is will rue the day it messed with us. What about Jocha, Vegeta? Will we lose the trail? Forget about now, Nappa. I'm on the hunt.
Much like the fish earlier, the bait had been secured. 2 Saiyan pods were chasing the main ship, Jocha waiting to find a nearby S3 planet which could host them for their upcoming confrontation. There! That planetoid down there! That'll be good enough. Are you sure? Said Bulma. Yeah, set us down and then get some distance away. I don't want our ride getting busted up. Okay, and the ship landed, allowing the crew to emerge. Nappa and Vegeta responded, landing nearby too, confused as to what was going on. But then, they saw her.
You decided to come out of hiding, and it looks like you brought friends.
Vegeta was eyeing them up quite pandally.
Hey, look! She found a Namekian! I thought they were wiped out years ago. Clearly a lot of questions to be had. Well, Jocha, care to tell us what you've been up to?
Jocha was silent.
It's all right. You don't have to say a word.
He walked up to her, right until he was facing nose to, well, chest, because Prince is short.
Playtime is over, Jocha. It's time to put your toys away and show those fools who you truly are.
Jocha sighed. You know what, Prince? You're right. She turned to her friends. I should show them who I truly am. Goku, Tenshinhan, and Piccolo were a little unnerved. What did that mean? In one move, Jocha grabbed Vegeta's hand, what he thought would be a handshake, gripped it really tight, breaking his hand, and with a roar of 1,000 space lions, threw him into the air. The prince, completely flummoxed, floundering around whilst he was being chucked into space, was spinning around in the limited gravity. Nappa tried to rush Jocha, but the other members of the group regained their senses and rushed him, them strong enough to hold him back. Jocha then shouted, "This is what I think of your stupid legacy!" She then let a huge torrent of energy from her mouth, much like she had shown her brother earlier, and it consumed Vegeta before he had the chance to counter. When the light dissipated, Nappa looked up to the sky, tapping his scouter with his spare hand whilst he was being accosted. Vegeta was still alive, but barely.
No. No way! How is this possible?
He then turned to Jocha and tapped the scouter again. The scouter beeped, him expecting it to read 10,000 like before, but it was more than that. 15,000. 20,000, 23,000, 25,000. Vegeta's body pounded the ground with tremendous force. He clambered out of his own personal crater and stared into the eyes of Jocha.
What's going on? Explain!
Gladly, Prince. I ain't coming back. You can run along with Nappa over there and stay the hell away from me. Be thankful that I'm gonna let you live. Vegeta was stunned at the sheer audacity of this one. He looked to Nappa, and then Nappa looked back at him. What were they going to do? But that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now.